Okay, Corey, this is part 2. I wanted to go ahead and break this into chunks because I don't know what size of video I can upload that will be easy for you to download and use. So I will break this up into 3 parts. The first 2 problems, the second 2 problems we'll look at now, and then we'll do the last 2 problems. Okay, this starts off, we're going to look at the equation at the top. It says write an equation in point slope form given the slope of 1/4 and the point 3 negative 8. Now what we want to do here, I like to label to begin with. You've already seen that. I have 1 point, and so I'm going to label x and y, so I'll make it x1 and y1. There is a reason for this. I'm going to go ahead and write my equation for point slope form. Okay, you're going to want to have these handy. The m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then the equation for point slope form. Y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. I'm going to plug into this and simplify, and I'll have it in point slope form. So here, what is y1? Well, I look over here to what I labeled, and that's a negative 8. So I'm going to have y minus a negative 8 equals, I've got to plug in my slope for m, 1/4 x minus, and then my x1 is a 3. We are almost done with getting this in point slope form. The only thing I'm going to do is make this plus a positive and just simplify. Y plus 8 equals 1/4 times x minus 3. And this is my equation for that line in point slope form. Whoops, I forgot a parenthesis there. Now, if I were asked to put this in slope-intercept form, I would have had to do this part first and then go to slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form happens to be y equals mx plus b. And in another problem in a minute, we'll go from point slope form to slope-intercept form. Actually, in the next problem. But anyway, this is point slope. You'll want to know that. Point slope form right here. And this is what we call slope-intercept. Okay. Let's look at the next problem. Write an equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. Well, the difference between these 2 problems is here I was given the slope. Here I'm not given the slope, so I have to find the slope to begin with, and then from there I'll write the equation of the line. Notice it doesn't tell me which type of equation, so we're going to go ahead and do both, so we have both of those covered. So I'm going to start off, so I can find the slope. Let me do some labeling. I have my first point x and y, so I'll make that x1 and y1. I have my second point x and y, so let me make that an x2 and a y2. I'm going to find the slope, thing we did at the very beginning. I'm going to go ahead and say the slope equals y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Okay, I'm going to write all the equations that I use in this formula. There's 3. I'm going to write them all in blue so that they stand out to you. Hopefully you're able to see those. So I'm going to go ahead now and plug in. y2 is my 6 minus y1, which is 1, over x2 is negative 4 over x1 is 0. 6 minus 1 is 5. Negative 4 minus 0 is negative 4. So my slope is 5 over negative 4, or negative 5/4. Okay, now I need to start off with point slope form. So that's my next equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. It's just my formula there. And now this is my slope I need to use to plug in for m. And it doesn't matter what point I use. Since I need an x1 and a y1, I'll just go ahead and use that first point that I labeled. So I would take y minus y1 is a 1 equals negative 5/4 times x minus 0. Well, it's in point slope form. So if I want in point slope form, I'm done at this point. But since my instructions didn't specify, we're going to go ahead and turn it to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to just bring this up over here so I have some room to work. That's what happens when you have a tiny board. So I have a -5/4, and I'm just going to put times x. I don't really need to put the -0 because x minus 0 is x. My goal here, and actually I don't even need these parentheses, so let's get rid of those. It'll just make it easier. Now my goal here is to get y by itself, because I want the formula right here. I want y equals mx plus b. I want y by itself. So to do that, I'm going to add 1 to the side, so I have to add 1 to the side. This cancels. Y equals -5/4 x plus 1. So now I have it in slope-intercept form. Point slope form, slope-intercept form. Now, with this particular problem, when it's in slope-intercept form, or any problem, when it's in slope-intercept form, I can always look in front of the x. That identifies the slope when it's y equals mx plus b, and b is where the line crosses the y-axis. So when you have your coordinate plane, I'll just draw it over here. If you have your coordinate plane, this number tells me where does that line cross the y-axis. So we know this line would cross the y-axis at 1. Okay, we'll have a part 3 in just a second, and we'll talk about parallel and perpendicular.